Thanks, Jim. Welcome to the May meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Diane Goldner.
Here.
Kelly Marston.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Here.
Jim DiGiulio, pardon me, Jim.
Here, thank you. And Tom has just joined us as well.
And Tom Beals. Tom, you're muted. Can you hear us?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Took a second to unmute. I am here.
Very good. Okay. Some meeting business ground rules. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. After members have spoken, we will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing this meeting. By Zoom, click Raise Hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. I will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once we have a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Okay.
Would you like me to read the notice?
I would, Diane. Thank you.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation for 0, 95, and 97 Lincoln Street, Map 62, Parcel 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 by Hamid Hatami, Prestige Property Development. That's it.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, before we get into the minutes, couple of administrative items here. First of all, happy belated Mother's Day to Diane and Kelly and Mia and Melanie. So hope you had a good time. Hope you're well taken care of on Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Also, Kelly, thanks to you. Thank you for presenting at the town meeting. I did watch the other night and it was interesting. So,
It was. You're welcome. Wish I could have passed, but
a little surprised, but hey, we gave it a shot and off we go. So, okay, meeting minutes. Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes? If there's none, we need a motion.
I motion we accept the meeting minutes as they're laid out.
Second.
Seconded by Tom. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay. All right. 5 Kimball Lane, RDA. Let me see if we have Michael Whalen with us. We do. Welcome to panelist.
Hi, Mike Whalen here.
Hey, Michael, we can hear you but not see you. That's fine. That's
I
fine.
can I can fix that real quick. Hello.
Hi, there he is. Super. Okay. All right, an RDA, 5 Kimball Lane. Mia and I visited the site last week. In fact, Mia, I think, has been assisted you in putting together the application.
Yes, she has.
So maybe one of you can fill in the commission what you want to do.
Okay. So yeah, on the map right there, the plan is for, if you're staring at the front of the property, going off the left side about 15 feet for an addition, and then going off about the left back half approximately 10 feet, and then building up on it a little bit to make a bedroom in the upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then making an additional, or replacing the deck coming off the back, and that will probably be another 8 to 10 feet off that. And then the mapped out there is the limit of work around the property. All the machinery would go. And if the so the wetland is in the back left of the property, approximately 90 feet away.
So it's jurisdictional, but it certainly is a ways away from the property. Here we go.
Yes.
Okay. Mia, do you have some photos?
Yes, let me pull those up. That's not the best one to start with. Sorry.
Now that is standing. Okay.
That's a good one to start with.
Okay, that's give your perspective of where we were. Okay.
Mm.
So the limit of work, Michael, I think would be, you said somewhere around that tree, the large pine tree.
I think it would be a little bit beyond that, because that's where about the new deck would end up.
Yep. Okay.
Well, let's get to that one later. Okay, that's the backyard.
Now that's looking down the left-hand side of the property.
This is
That's
the, let me
back
get the
fence,
left side. for
right-hand
you.
side of the property.
Yeah, so
There's the
see this-
right-hand side of the property.
This depression here along the fence, that's the wetland. It doesn't even cover the whole depression. Let me go back to the beginning. I'm gonna jump. Okay, so if we're standing up where Greg and Mike were, this is looking into the backyard. You can see the depression. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, that depression there is where the wetland begins, and it comes from this state land over here and just creeps into the fence a little bit on the other side of the stone wall. It's about 90 feet away from the addition and maybe 70 from the limit of work.
How much ground disturbance are we talking about, Michael?
Sorry, how much what?
Ground disturbance. I mean, how much digging is involved? Are you going to be bringing in, putting in
So
a?
off the 15 foot left and off the 10-ish foot back, there's gonna be a foundation. So the foundation will be set at those points, and then just footings for the deck after that, and that's going to be it.
Okay. Can we see that drawing again that you had that shows the rough plan?
Hang on, my computer's loading. Let me try again. Here it is. How's that look?
Okay, that's good. So we're saying the limit of work is about 70 feet off the wetland boundary, and the actual deck will be maybe 90 feet off the wetland boundary. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commission?
I was just curious, was there any standing water in that depression when you guys were out there?
I don't believe there was.
No, but there was a dominance of wetland vegetation.
Yeah, I was just curious if it's sort of seasonally flooded or maybe not.
I think no real comments from me, Greg. I think this seems like an RDA type application anyways. What'd you say, 90 feet closest limit of work, or closest expansion of the house and deck, and then limit of work's at what, 70 feet or so?
Yes.
So yeah, no real comments on my end.
Okay,
I have a question though.
sure.
This has been a very dry year, so it would be logical that there's not been much water back there. Has there ever been more than what they are telling us now?
I can answer that. So typically the only time I really see water there is after winter time. There's a bunch of snow and it all melts. It kind of creates a little pool right by the rock wall, the property line, with the fences, where Mia was saying that it kind of creeps in. It's kind of a very steep area, so it just kind of is contained to that, pretty much right where the rock wall is. Looks like it kind of creeps right under it. Maybe about 5 feet or so, I would guess. And that's pretty much it. But typically throughout the year, it's pretty much dry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, let me see if we have any public comment here. I don't see any hands up or phones. Okay, so Mia, if we move ahead with this one, we still want some sort of erosion control devices there, correct?
Yep, I'd recommend that as your
Because it does-
special conditions, an
does
entrenched
kick
silt
down.
fence.
Yeah, it does kick down pretty hard to the left. Before we get to that, Michael, you had some more stuff you wanted to do, right, at the end of the property? You want to talk about that?
Sure. So I think Mia had a picture of it.
Mhm. Here it is. Okay, so this is, let me see, am I muted? Nope. This is the entire backyard to the back right corner. Let me show you, is this area.
Yes. So
No, that's
yeah,
not
so,
it. There we go.
yeah, that one right there. So that is the opposite side of the property where the wetland is. That abuts my neighbor's property line over there on the right side. It kind of dips down a little bit. There's a little rock wall down there, and I added a bunch of rocks there throughout the years, so my dog couldn't get under the fence because there was kind of a gap because it kind of dips down. My question was, from the foundation, there's going to be fill that's going to be lifted from the ground, and if I would be able to pour some of the fill in there to kind of smooth it out, so it's not just a rock pile, and kind of could make it a little smooth backyard to the fence line to kind of make it so it's not a floating fence there. If that makes any sense.
How far off the wetlands would you say that area is?
Oof, I guess I'd probably say maybe 80 feet. I don't know, Mia, what do you think? Maybe a little less.
I'd say 90 plus.
Okay.
I just measured it on the town GIS, and from the wetlands to the very back corner is 100, but that's within that back corner.
Okay.
I can share that screen. Down here.
Oh, it's barely jurisdictional.
There is kind of a flow channel right along here that leads straight to the wetlands. So we had talked about on site, just filling in that one little area, I don't think would even be jurisdictional. That would only be considered like an exempt activity. But if you were to take this whole area and sort of like cover the whole area and loam and seed, that opens it to the possibility of migrating down this cut channel straight into the wetlands.
Yes.
But I think just filling that little area with the stones really wouldn't even be a problem.
Any comments on that?
I'm sorry, I guess my question is, are we going for an order of conditions or a negative determination on an RDA?
Negative determination.
Okay.
It's an RDA. I mean, so from my opinion, it's so far away from the wetlands, and as long as me explained, as long as he kept it close, small to that one area, I have no issue with that. If it gets beyond that, then I think we'd have to come back to the drawing board, so to speak.
Well, we're going to want to have something for siltation device anyways, even if it's a negative determination, I would assume, correct?
Correct.
So, if we have siltation devices that are protect the wetlands, and maybe a C shape, where the wetlands is, then he can do that fill area and the wetlands is protected and he can get it reseeded and stabilized.
Okay.
So you're thinking more.
It sounds like Tom's thinking that we wouldn't put the erosion control devices around the limit of work. We put them around
Correct.
outside
like
the
that?
wetlands.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep. That way there, any of the material, that's going to the corner, that area can be filled and graded and what have you and seeded. And, the whole wetlands area is protected. I don't know if maybe we want to go up the property line, maybe a little bit, Maya, towards the house.
Okay.
Yeah. That way there, if there's a pile around the the area where the foundation's excavated, it'll be protected.
I think that's good, Tom. Gives him a little more flexibility while he's, while
Yeah.
you're building and stuff too, as far as, where you might spread some things out and stuff.
Yeah, well, you got to truck the dirt down there with a machine somehow, so
Yeah.
you're driving back and forth on it.
Michael, how's that sit with you?
That actually makes a lot more sense to me. I think that's perfect.
Any
I'm
more
going to
questions
save
from the
this
commission?
plan.
Sorry, any more questions from the commission?
I just had a quick question. It looks like in the photos, there's a bunch of logs or stumps. Are you filling those in? Are you taking them out first before you fill?
I use those for the purpose of, like I said, to not let my dog get out. So I'll probably pull the logs out and leave the rocks because I don't want the logs to kind of just decay over time and kind of mess up the grass level.
That
So I
was going to
probably
be
take the
going to be my
yank those out.
suggestion. Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds fine. Other than that, that was my only question.
I don't see any hands up. So I presume we're talking a negative determination here with some conditions, correct? And the condition would be erosion control devices as outlined me or in the plan from
Mhm.
just our discussion.
Yep, as shown on that plan. Am I muted? Nope.
I make a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability with the conditions mentioned in Mia's fancy plan that she drew up.
Second,
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufrain,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Done.
And Mike, I'm emailing you the revised plan right now, so you have a copy.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Good luck. Stay close to Mia.
All right, we'll do.
Thank you.
I missed the motion in the second. Who was that? Sorry.
Motion, I believe, by Kelly? No, by Justin, seconded by Kelly.
Thank you for negative. Thanks so much.
Okay. Let's see, we will move Michael back. All right. Okay, 57 Fisher Street. This is a continued NOI from last month. We did not have any DEP file number on at the time. And I believe we have Vito with us here, correct? I don't see Vito.
Let's see.
Yep, I don't see Vito with us here, Mia. Can we move ahead without him? Or not?
We could, because there's really no issues. The DEP file number has no comments.
Yeah, do you have any sort of a graphic or from last month so we can refresh our memories here?
Sure.
This is a failed septic system, a very tight lot. They were going to put in the front yard.
Mhm. And my only comments had been to confirm that they were accessing the site from the existing driveway, and to add the condition that they street sweep. And they did both those things on the revised plan. And DEP came back with no comments as well. Let me double check my notes.
I think this was pretty clear from the last meeting. It was just no file number, correct?
Yeah, and there were no options.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's nothing in the notes that you guys were looking for. We were just waiting for the file number.
Okay, let me see if there are any public comments on this one. I don't see anything. Any concerns on the commission before we move ahead with this? We won't recall from last month. Okay. All right. So for 57 Fisher Street, then we need to have a motion. This is an NOI.
Yep, so close the hearing and then any special conditions and the order of
A
conditions.
motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion to close the hearing for 57.
Second.
Roll call vote. Justin Dufrain,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Kelly Marston.
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. So now we need a motion.
I make a motion to issue order of conditions for 57 Fisher Street.
No special conditions, just standard, I believe, right?
Standard boilerplate with the septic conditions.
Yep. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Dan Clark. Roll call. Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufrain,
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right. 0 Hudson Street is asked for a continuance, Mia, correct?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about it without the applicant being here very much, but I know that the issue on the table is really you and the applicant agreeing to the delineation of the wetlands? That's still open.
Well, I visited the site, we reviewed the wetland delineation and I couldn't confirm it. So they're going back to the drawing board and they'll come back with some revisions.
Next month,
Yes.
We're just going to make a motion to continue, correct?
Yes.
believe so.
Make a motion to continue 0 Hudson Street to next meeting.
Second,
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Morrison,
yes.
Tom Beals.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Continued to June. June 14, Mia, right?
Yes.
I know I have a note here of 161 Church that they delivered a plan to you today, and they're not on the agenda anyway. So
I forgot to put it on the agenda. So we would like to make a motion to continue to the June meeting.
161 Church Street to be continued to June. Is there a
Make
motion?
a motion that we continue 161 Church Street to the June 14th meeting.
Second,
Seconded by Kelly. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And I've asked them to re-notify because they've been on the agenda over a year.
It's
So
been
they'll-
almost 2 years, hasn't it? 2.5 years.
Well, their certified list of abutters was from October 2019, and they got on our agenda in April 2020. So I've asked them to re-notify, and I'll do a new legal ad so we can get everybody notified that needs to be notified.
Okay. 333 Southwest Cutoff, continuation. This is the UMass Memorial Eye Center, Brian Waterman. And I will bring Brian in as a panelist. Hello, Brian. I see your name, but that's it. Brian, are you on mute?
So I don't see a microphone or camera connected.
Yep.
So we may be having connection issues connecting his accessory pieces.
Okay.
Can we also promote Greg O'Connor? He was the architect for this project last month. I'm pretty sure. Yes, Greg O'Connor.
Something wrong here, Mia. Go out and get back in, I think.
Hello? Hi, this is Brian Waterman. Are we up? Can you hear me?
Oh. No, Greg is gone. Hang on 1 second, Brian.
Okay.
We're waiting for Greg Young just left the meet. Is he still there, Jim?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here, but I did something with my video. I've got to stop clicking things.
Are we jumping to our meeting next? I'm sorry, I just got back in.
Hey, Brian, no, you're on with Southwest Cutoff.
Okay, good.
First of all, Brian, how are you feeling? You were not doing too well on Sidewalk.
I'm thinking my new inhaler and the prednisone are starting to make me turn the corner. I don't feel great right now and I'm tired, but my breathing seems a bit better, so I'm hopeful. Thank you.
All right, Southwest Cutoff.
Yep. So This was for the 330 square foot elevator addition to the outside of the building. We had done the site walk. I think at the last meeting, we adjusted one wetland flag. We had adjusted the 25-foot no build and 35-foot offset. The building is still about 52 feet from the closest wetland flag. I think everyone was fine with the project itself, but there were two outstanding things that I think we wanted to address. One was the maintenance of the stormwater system that was on site, that was done as part of the overall baseball and the 333 Southwest Cutoff building. So we could not find that any maintenance had been done since the construction was finished in 2015. So they hired New England Stormwater Management. They went out last week and they did vector cleaning on 14 catch basins, 5 storm scepters, and 4 area drains, and disposed of 8 tons of material. They inspected everything, said everything looks like it's in good working order, and all material was hauled off site and disposed of legally. That was from Jim Hayes at New England Stormwater Management. They're out of Westford. So in the prior meeting, we had submitted that they had signed up for an initial cleaning contract and then also annual cleaning to meet the stormwater management permit and the O&M plan. So this was their initial cleaning and the report of what they hauled off site. Since we don't know if the system was cleaned right after construction, I'm sure these catch basins had extra sand and other material in them. They did clean a lot of units and disposed of 8 tons of material. So I would imagine the next cleaning, we'll see a lot less since everything is stabilized, the curbs are in, and now everything's clean and functioning. So that was one of the key components for this filing. The other was, at the time, we did not have a DEP file number. That was issued with no comments, and that was forwarded to me as well. So I think we've addressed the outstanding items. I'll turn it over to you, Mia, if you have other comments, or the commission, or.
I think we also wanted a certificate of compliance. We had a partial. We were looking for a full. The request came in for the full. So if you want to address that during this discussion as well.
No, yep. So the order of conditions for the ball fields and the 333 Southwest Cutoff site, there was a partial issued back in like December of 15. There were a couple outstanding items, were some curbing and treatment sidewalk out front. Let's see, removal of some of the erosion control barrier, and just making sure some of the other areas were fully stabilized with grass. I'd walked with Kale back in the day to confirm there was a question on an outlet from one of the storm drains. Where that came out, which is at the base of that really tall retaining wall. Some of the areas that needed to be touched up with grass, that was completed. We did notice on our sidewalk that some of the old original erosion control barrier was not taken out. So what we did is we filed for a full COC, because one, that order is expired at this point, and two, everything was done associated with that, except for the stormwater cleaning, which has now been done. So closing out that order will allow, if you guys approve this project, to go under this order. The remaining little bit of existing silt fence could be removed as part of a certificate of compliance for this order. We did send along the as-built plan. The pad site up to where the golf course building still remains. They were supposed to get a contract to finish that. They graded it, created a pad site, but then no one ever jumped in to do that building. So there's a small area of 200-foot riverfront down in the southwest corner of that property. So if anyone ever decides to do anything there, if they either work in the riverfront or do stormwater, they're gonna have to refile. So All the work that was done to make it a pad site was done, except they didn't remove the building for whatever reason. I guess they just decided to leave it for the time instead of paying the cost of demo at the time. So we filed for a full certificate to close that out, along with the stormwater management that was just performed. So again, that order has been expired since 2017, so there's nothing that can be done under it now anyway. So, and the stuff that was associated with it has been completed to date, now that the stormwater is maintained. So,
8 tons, I mean, that's a lot of material, Brian, 8 tons.
yeah.
But, I mean, that's from.
I mean, that's a lot. That's 5 big storm scepters. What was it? 14 catch basins and 5 area drains. So it's a big system. There's a system out in front of the southwest cutoff. There's a very large system underneath the parking by the ball fields, and then all the catch basins and area drains. So yeah, I would imagine if they had, their deep sump catch basins, if they had, several feet of wet sandy material in them, that probably weighs a lot in each one. Justin may have a better idea on that than I do, but yeah, when I saw 8 tons, I was, ooh. But if you start adding up that whole system, with all the rain we've had lately, anything that's in it was probably heavy and wet. So, but they did inspect them and said everything seems to be working, and now that it's cleaned, it should work even better. So I would imagine the next report, it'll be kind of a good test to see, they estimate up to about 1 ton when they're cleaning out something this size. So it'll be interesting to see when they do the next cleaning, how much material they take out at that time. I would imagine it's going to be significantly less.
Good. Any commission questions? I think we have a 2-step process. We'd like to, 1, approve the certificate of compliance, and then 2, deal with the new NOI and maybe roll any further work into that one. So,
Okay.
any questions from the commission?
No.
Comments? I don't see any attendee hands up. Okay, so let's deal with the certificate of compliance first.
So I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 333 Southwest Cutoff.
The DEP file number 2471059, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there
Second,
a second for that?
second,
Second by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Now we're going to close the hearing first, aren't we, Mia? The NOI. So let's have a motion to close the hearing.
Okay. I'll make a motion to close the hearing for 333 Southwest Cutoff.
By Tom, so is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly, Kelly
Yes.
Marston, Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, the NOI for an order for 333 Southwest Cutoff. Any special conditions required, Mia, from your perspective?
No, there isn't, it's not even near a street, no permanent markers. And I think we already have a standard condition about trash, because there's that dumpster there. We brought up the idea that the trash was right there.
Right. And then taking out the old erosion control barrier.
Okay, and remove old.
I think
Okay.
that's it. Okay. We need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue order conditions for 333 Southwest Cutoff.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call. Dan,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you. All right, Don't go too far, Brian, because you're up again.
Oh, the ANRAD. All right, let me pull that out.
We next have an ANRAD, excuse me, for 0, 95, and 97 Lincoln Street. We walked the site with Brian last week.
Yep, I walked it once with Mia to walk the entire wetland boundary. And then with Greg and Mia on Thursday to walk we walked into the isolated wetland, kind of where we were, the school side of the site, just to see the character of the property, and then down where the historic tree clearing had been, where the historic house had been. There's a low area there that has been reported to hold water periodically. So I'll jump into that in a second. But Mia, did you receive the DEP file number this afternoon?
Yes, with no comments. And I have
Right.
your plan. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, you have the colored one.
And again, for public comment here, we are only approving tonight, looking at for approval tonight, the delineation of the wetlands.
Correct.
There's no plan in front of us other than where the wetland boundaries are.
Yep. All right, thank you, Mia. So I'll start with the site itself and the wetland boundary. Down to the southeast corner there, you see the blue line. There's an intermittent stream that flows along the church property and also picks up intermittent flow from the interior wetland of our site, and then discharges through a 15-inch culvert in the under Lincoln Street, and then out to the east along the Lydia's Way development. So that's an intermittent stream. It's noted as perennial starting on the south side. We submitted stream stats report that shows that it's intermittent. It just doesn't have the supporting drainage area. It's approximately 2 to 3 feet wide where it comes in there. But it's been flowing since we were out there and did the delineation in March. It's flowing currently, but that's not surprising with some of the rainfall we've had. So we have an intermittent stream there. So the wetland flag number 1 starts at that corner. It follows a stone wall along that side, and then it starts to bump into the site. And you'll see you can see by the green line there in the wetland flag numbers 1 through, well, in this picture, you can see 1 to 55. It goes to 71, but you can see that it's a very jagged wetland line, which seems to play to the history that, there was some historic earthwork out here probably, 80 years ago or so. There's some very large white pines and some oak trees on the site. So some of the trees have been here quite a long time. We show in the front there was a historic building along this property that was shown on a record plan in 1948. I don't know when that disappeared, but there was a building there at some point on this property. So the property had been worked. Some of the historic earthworks led to an isolated wetland in the central part of the site. You can see there. So that's a local jurisdictional wetland, isolated wetland. So the bordering vegetated wetland, Mia and I walked the entire thing. There's some pit and mound topography inside of it. There are areas of standing pockets of water, and then you can see intermittent stream flow that comes out of there. And like I mentioned, it ties into the intermittent stream to the south and discharges under Lincoln Street. We took a look at some of the upland and wetland soils. It's a pretty well-defined, organic surface layer underlain by, glade soils in the wetland, and then you turn into a fairly bright upland soil rather quickly. So I think Mia was fine with the wetland delineation and the flags. We didn't adjust it. So again, there have been some discussion on flooding in this. Mia, can you zoom up to right, the bowl area we were looking at? Yeah, that 298 contour there. There've been some discussion on whether or not, there were some photos from, I believe it was like 2007 that showed some ponding there. Me and I took a look in there. There are a few wetland vegetation plants. There was no standing water when we were there, except for one tiny little spot where someone left a hole in the ground. But the predominance of, there are a lot of saplings coming in now that are quaking aspen and big tooth aspen. There's what's a ground cover that's called cinquefoil. These are all upland indicator plants. There were a few cinnamon fern and skunk cabbage. So the predominance of upland vegetation indicates that it's not a wetland area. We ran an isolated land subject to flooding calculation, and our engineer run that, and we submitted that data to MIA this morning to see if it meets the state ILS requirement is a 1/4 acre foot, and the local bylaw is 1/8 acre foot. This came back at 0.01 acre foot, so it's less than the 0.125 acre foot or 1/8 that's required in the local bylaw. So it does not meet ILSF or state. We also submitted some aerial photos ranging from 2008 to 2019 in support that there's a detention basin directly across the street associated with Lydia's Way, which is at this pretty much the same elevation. And the aerial photos support that, there's water in that basin, but not on our side. So that seems to indicate, again, that whatever photos were shown in 2007, may have been a non-typical situation. I submitted some historical data on the rainfall and precipitation in 2007 for March and April, which is apparently when those pictures were taken. Again, I think that supports that this was a non-typical situation. With frozen ground, if you get a 2-inch rainfall event, that isolated bowl, we're not arguing, could hold water. It just may hold water, but it doesn't meet the regulations as a resource area. March and April of that year, we had temperatures under, below freezing in March, around a 2-inch rainfall event. And April was over 8 inches of precipitation, which is 4 inches above normal. So again, it seems to lend to a atypical situation. The things we saw when we were in the field just don't seem to indicate that if it does hold water, it doesn't hold it long enough to create a predominance of wetland vegetation, and it does not meet isolated land subject to flooding. So I think what we saw in the field seems to be supported by all the other data. And again, the engineering calculation shows that it's not an isolated land subject to flooding. So it's obviously been historically disturbed in there. It is regenerating with secondary growth and quite a few, some invasives with knotweed and blackberry and multiflora rose, but the aspens and the quaking aspen and the big tooth aspen probably will fill that area in over time. So we have 2 resource areas that we've identified on the site. One is the bordering vegetated wetland, and the other is that central isolated wetland, which is would be covered under the local jurisdiction.
But Mia, given the size of that ISLW, I don't believe it's jurisdictional. Is that true?
So there's the depression over here. That's not jurisdictional. It doesn't hold an 1/8 acre foot and had a dominance of upland vegetation. But then there is an isolated wetland over here that did have a dominance of wetland vegetation.
Okay. Okay. So that one is jurisdictional.
Yeah, under the local bylaw.
Right, under the local bylaw, that one has indicators of hydrology and enough wetland vegetation to be classified under your local bylaw.
Mia, are you in concert with the flagging? the delineation?
We walked the entire line. I can share some photos with you if you like. You can see there were some areas where, there's kind of a finger of upland here. So we stopped and did soils up and in the wetland. Here, the same thing. And then over here where we had another, area coming up here, we did. So there were probably 3 or 4 places where we stopped and looked at soils just to make sure we were still on the right track. And the topography, if you look close, you can kind of see the topography follows it as well. It is like it dips and rolls. It's a disturbed site. Would you like to see the pictures?
Yeah, put a few pictures up for the commission. Sure. I think we've all probably driven by the site before.
This is the intermittent stream. This is the culvert that goes under Lincoln Street.
Yep.
This is looking at the property, standing at that stream. So you can see the size of these pine trees and the oaks within, and some back here. This is definitely an upland forested area. Again, this is the upland forested area. We're starting to go into the site. To the right, if I'm right, Brian, to the right beyond that stone wall is the middle school.
Let's see.
I think right over there is the middle school.
Yeah, I believe, yes, we're on the other side now, yeah.
Yep, we're on the other side of the stream now.
Yeah.
These are just that we took some soils on each side. I think this is just the first wetland. A lot of these pictures are just forest.
That's this finger, like up by wetland flag 41, 42 in that area, I believe.
Okay.
So you can see the dark organic surface soil there, and then you get into the glade or gray, sandy or subsoil. So that's the hydric soil within the wetland. And then I think you did have an auger of the upland soil. Yeah, you can see there.
See the difference.
Brighter topsoil, and then you can see the bright orange underneath, which is an indicator of a aerated soil or a non-hydric soil.
This is a wet day, so even on a wet day, you can still see the difference when you're doing the soils.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty well defined.
Yeah. This is the disturbed area. You can see the multiflora rose. This was within the wetland area nearby, around wetland flag 30.
Nice picture.
Thanks. That's around wetland flag 6.
Yeah.
This is the that's knotweed.
Yeah. Knotweed and some Tartarian honeysuckle.
Mm-hmm. I want to get the aspen. I think that's here. Oh, so you can see this is that pine knoll. Greg, I think this is from when we were out there. So
Yeah,
the soils, the soils are very clear. This is not a wetland soil. This is a gravelly, sandy upland soil.
That was by the test pit 1 and 2 in the northeast corner, the unwitnessed testing we did last October. So yeah, as you can see, it's in the soil pile, it's sandy and gravelly there, not certainly a hydric soil.
They did unwitnessed test pits. These were just exploratory test pits. They'll have to do new test pits when they come back with an NOI for any septic systems they propose. They'll have to do more test pits that are witnessed.
Correct.
And documented. I just thought I had taken pictures of the aspen.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Let me see if I can find it.
Well, if you go back to that picture, you can almost.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Let's see. Yeah, I thought you took a picture of.
This is from both days.
Well, when you were looking in from that flag in the wetland there, I could see some of them in the background.
Oh, here they are. There they are in the background there.
Yeah, right there. Yep, you can see all the aspens coming in.
So the depression is here by the street. And so aspen are successional. So when something is disturbed, what comes in is the aspen that grows first. And it's an upland species, and you have both quaking and big tooth.
Big tooth, yeah. And if you look at some of the historical aerial photos, some of the pines, they don't typically get that large if their feet are wet. So obviously someone dug there and they left a bowl, and if you get enough rainfall or certain seasonal conditions, it'll hold water. It appears to percolate pretty quickly because, like I said, the basin across the street if you look at the aerial photos, it's holding water at the same, even though we're about the same elevation. So there's, you know,
Sorry to look at all these pictures. There's just one I thought I took where you could see the speckled alder from the street. In that depressed area that we're really focusing on, that we wanted to make sure it was an isolated land subject to flooding, there's one speckled alder bush, and other than a few, was it the cinnamon fern or the sunset fern? But otherwise it was, 80–90%.
and yeah,
upland.
right next to that speckled alder was a red oak sapling too. So
Yep.
it's
No, I don't think I have a
transition.
picture of it. And speckled alders are wetland plant, but there was just one.
Yeah, I think,
Question from the commission. Comments or concerns? Members of ANRAD. It looks pretty straightforward to me,
Yeah,
right?
there were no braided streams. The wetland generally followed the slope. There were no areas where I thought the flag should be moved at all. In fact, that it was a conservative delineation. And I also wanted to point out on the plan, one more thing is that, if we zoom out here, we walked this line. We didn't go further back in. So there could be more upland in here, but we're not accepting that as upland. We're accepting this as wet from here back.
right. We know there's nothing we're going to be that potentially be developing. Everything we're looking at is up front here. So, yeah, there's probably braided uplands. The DEP line shows a larger area going to the west, and then, flowing down to that part of that intermittent stream along the church and our property. So there may be other upland areas in there, but that's not really, I don't think we need to focus on it because everything is really dictated by what we have up front here.
I'm sorry, you mentioned that ILSF, the one that's flagged, that one meets our local bylaw, but it's not state jurisdictional.
Correct.
Well, it's an isolated wetland. It's not an isolated land subject to flood.
Isolated wetland, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, under the local bylaw for having indicators of high hydrology and predominance of wetland plains.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably not, if you look at the 8 interests of the act, is it really meeting those? Probably not, but under the language of the bylaw, it is an isolated wetland.
Any design will have to take the bordering, the wetlands into account and its jurisdiction.
Right, that's why we've got the 25 and 35 no touch shown on there. So that would be confirmed as part of, we didn't adjust any of that since we didn't adjust any flags. So that would be the limit of jurisdictional areas are shown on there, the 25 and 35. And the 100-foot buffer zone is shown in bright yellow there. So certainly anything in the future is going to need a notice of intent.
Sure.
And like you said, you'd need to do witness testing, and the local Board of Health regulation does not meet the DEP regulation for 50-foot setbacks to wetlands. It's 100 feet, and that's adopted in your bylaw as well. So that's why you see the 2 test pits we did to the side there outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Just those were obviously, like we said, unwitnessed. But once we get the wetland line down, then we can concentrate on getting witness testing outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
All right. Any more questions from the commission or concerns or comments? Let's see if we have any public comment here. Any public comment? Any questions from folks listening or watching tonight? I don't see any hands up. Going once, going twice. Done. Okay. So we're looking for a we're looking to approve the ANRAD as listed, Mia, correct?
As
Yeah.
shown.
Yeah. Do we need to close the hearing, Mia?
I think,
Or
I
is this
think
not
we
a-
do.
Is it a hearing still?
I don't know. I don't remember. Brian, do you remember?
What's that?
Is an ANRAD a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
yes,
have
we
to
do have to
notify
close the hearing.
butters and you get a
Motion to
file
close, motion to close the public hearing.
number.
Thank you.
I know, it all turns into a blur.
Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Kelly or Diane? Kelly. Okay, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The hearing is closed.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much.
motion to issue a ORAD, right? For a
Yep.
0, 95, and 97 Lincoln Street.
And you approve the wetland delineation as shown on the plans, right?
Yes.
Because you can always make exceptions. You can say like, just as shown, or, but I think I'm recommending to approve as shown.
No, I think it looked good.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tom. Roll call, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And who was the second there? It was Justin and then
Kelly, I believe. Oh, Tom
Tom.
Beals, I'm sorry.
Tom. Thank you.
All right. Brian, I think you're done for tonight.
Hey, thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Yeah,
Thanks. Bye.
all right. Let's see what else we got here. I think we can move on to the conservation fund item, Mia.
I don't know if Ashley's here.
Let me take a look. There's somebody calling in.
Is that you, Ashley?
I believe if they're calling in, they can use *9 to raise their hand if they want to be
Yeah.
identified.
Yeah, there's no hand being raised here. Okay, we'll just move on and come back. Violations. John Edward Drive, we had some dumping of yard waste. I believe there were a number of violations. Letters were sent to the homeowners. I believe most of the cleanup was done. There were a couple of outliers. They got a second letter, Mia,
Yes.
and I believe they may be here tonight.
The first one is 19 John Edward. That's Peter Larson.
Peter Larson and Richard Clark are both here. So let's
Yes.
bring them both in. How's that?
Okay.
Oh, wait, there's a hand up. I got a hand up. Now from 1978. So I'm going to go to this hand up first. Hey, Jim, I can't seem to bring that person in.
Yeah, so for phone numbers, you can only click the allow to talk. They can't come over as a panelist.
I'm not even seeing that.
Okay, well, so I'll allow them to talk. So they are here. They'll just need to unmute.
Could you unmute? There we go.
This is Peter from 19 John Edward Drive.
Oh, very good, Peter. Okay, thank you.
You guys can hear me all right?
Yep, but you're not the person I'm looking for. Are you 19? Are you calling in?
I
Jim?
am. I'm 19 John Edward Drive.
Oh, okay. I've also got you listed as on the second one there too. So
Okay.
okay, Peter Larson. Let's move
That's
ahead with
right.
Peter Larson.
You guys can hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Okay, good.
So you and me have met a couple times, and you received
Yep.
letters, and Mia's going to do some
Nope,
screen
well,
sharing.
we've never received letters until now that we were aware of. And then the minute we got the letter, I reached out to Mia and had her out at the house to kind of explain what was going on and what we were not supposed to be doing, and et cetera, et cetera. So you know, there's a brush pile. There's two piles out back. There's a brush pile that came mostly from the trees that were out back because a couple of trees fell down and were on top of my fence. So I cut them down and got them off my fence and cleaned up the back. And then I piled a pile of brush out back, which was obviously too close to the wetlands and not knowing that it was too close to the wetlands. So I told Mia I'd certainly cut that up and get rid of it. And then there's an area of grass clippings out back that was in the wetlands as well that we talked about cleaning up as well. So.
So, Mia, has the cleanup been done to your knowledge?
No, it has not been done. That was the purpose of the meeting tonight, was to kind of, I guess, give you guys, my understanding was Mia explained to me that we were going to would discuss it, and that you're basically going to want a date when I can get it done by, and then have someone come out and do it. So no, it has not been done yet.
Okay. All right.
If you see the pictures she's showing you, that's a picture of a bush that was taken out and put back there, which I'll take to the town. We'll pull that all out and take that to the town and dump that at the town. The brush pile, Mia, do you have the picture of the brush pile?
Mm-hmm. Can you see it?
No, same picture. It's
No, you're doing that. That's the brush. That was that big bush. That was that bush I asked you to look at to see if the town would take that.
Let me try. I had too many photo screens open. There we go. Can you see that?
That's the grass. That's the pile of grass that we'll get out of there. We'll dig that all out and get rid of that. If you go to the other picture, Mia, where the brush is, I'll have to cut that.
Oh,
nope.
You mean the sticks, the piles of
Yeah,
sticks.
yeah.
That was a different day. That one.
I don't see it yet.
It stopped.
You guys?
Sorry. Let me try one more time. Every time I open
okay.
a new picture, it makes me reshare.
It's not a problem. That brush pile right there. So if you see, there's a bunch of trees behind that are down, and that brush pile was from those trees. I'll chop that up and I'll get rid of it.
So, Mia, we're looking to have this move beyond 25 feet, correct? From the wetlands.
Greg, I'll chop it up and just get it out of there. I'll have no problem just getting rid of it all. So I don't have to move it to another spot. I'll just get rid of it because the gentleman, Mr. Fouracre, I guess is the gentleman who owns this property, just recently purchased it. You know, we're not allowed to dump stuff on his property, and I certainly don't want to do that either. So we'll take that. We'll get it out of there. I mean, even though it's brush from his property, I'll get rid of it. I mean, I'm not, going to complain too much about that. I just need some help. My two sons are in college right now. They'll be home in a couple weeks, and they'll be helping. We'll get rid of it.
They'll look forward to that too. So, so what do you think? When do you think you can get that done by, Mr. Larson?
Well, if you can give me a couple months, that would be helpful because, again, I don't know when they're going to be home because they're in the NCAA tournament right now, and hopefully that lasts for a little while. But, I'd like to give me a couple months and I'll have it done, if that's okay. I mean, if you need it done sooner, I certainly would figure a way to get rid of it sooner, but
what do you think?
It's fine. Yeah, we can.
Is July 1 a reasonable date?
It's fine with me, or we can even check with August. You want to do August 1st?
Yeah, if you give me August 1st, that would be great.
Sure. So I'll email you around August, the beginning of August, for a reinspection. And if you need more time, just give us a call.
Yep, no, and I'll call you, Mia, if I get it done sooner. I mean, like I said, I don't want to wait too long because obviously it gets kind of buggy back there when all the trees get in. And so sooner I get out there when it's a little cooler, it'll be easier to get rid of it. So.
Works for me. Does it work for you guys?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Good deal. What are your sons doing in the tournament?
They play for St. Anselm's College for lacrosse, and they just got a bid yesterday as the 5th seed. So we're going out to Erie, Pennsylvania. Lovely 8-hour ride.
That'll be fun. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So they may be home Monday. If they lose, they'll be home Monday. So Then I'll be able to get at it and get them doing the heavy lifting.
Super. Well, thank you for your cooperation. We appreciate it. For sure.
No, I have no problem. I apologize. I certainly did not intend to cause problems and did not want to put you guys into this position. So certainly, we'll take care of it.
Thanks for your cooperation and good luck to your sons in the tournament.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Let's see.
I think if I do star 6, I'll unmute.
You're gone. Let me see. You are gone. Yep. Now I'm going to bring in Richard Clark.
And we'll wait for him to come in and then we'll.
Hey, Jimmy, I need some help with Richard Clark. I'm not getting the options from my end.
Not a problem. Oh, it looks as though for some reason you're not co-host anymore.
Well, when I dropped myself out and had to come back in a while
Oh,
ago,
okay.
so-
That was, yep, that must have been what happened. So I'm moving Richard over now. Greg, you're a co-host again, and Ashley Davies is in the is an attendee as well.
Great. And I promise I'll stop clicking on things. So, okay. All right. Mr. Clark, you are muted.
How's that?
That's good.
Good.
All right. Well, you heard the previous call with your neighbor there and so forth, and we're looking at. Can you see the photo that Mia has up?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. I mean, any questions from your side or comments?
No, we removed all that. We took care of the brush, and I took the compost out, and we're contracting our compost now.
Great. Did you pull it back, or did you actually remove everything?
I removed everything and I availed myself of the dump.
Okay. Very good.
This is the after. The work's already been complete and re-inspected.
Looks nice.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Good.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Any concerns? You're good, apparently, right?
Yes.
Looks good to me.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Clark.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for your
you.
help, cooperation, sir. Okay. So we can.
So this one's resolved, as long
That
as you're
is
okay with that.
resolved. I'm putting Mr. Clark back to attendee. All right. Yeah, it was a nice job there.
Oh, I can stop sharing. It's so nice. We just leave it up as our background.
All right, so let's go back up to the Conservation Fund and Ashley Davies. Let's bring Ashley in. Okay, Ashley, you are there.
All right. Can you hear me?
We can hear you but not see you. That's okay.
Okay, great. Works for me.
Just the way you want it. Fair enough.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so
yep.
Conservation Fund money for 432 Whitney Street.
Yeah, so what we're asking for today, the Open Space Committee, being the we, is money to fund an appraisal of 432 Whitney Street, which is owned by Santuanza. This is across the street from the property that has been the subject of litigation and various other issues in town. Our thought with this one is it's on the market for a significant amount of money. And so we want to get an appraisal just to see what's a realistic amount that we could potentially offer here. But the idea with this is that this is another piece of property that is in between industrial area and a residential area and could potentially provide that buffer that is currently what is hoped for on Bartlett Street by some of the residents over there and could potentially avoid another situation like that. But not only that, it is very close to the aqueduct and could provide an additional trail loop with just a short walk on the road from the aqueduct trail. And it does also border on DCR land and some significant wetland and river areas. So not too far from Assabet River. So there are many reasons why this is potentially a good purchase. The issues that we saw are, you know, it may not be viewed in the best light to financially support someone who's caused issues to our town, being the landowner. But at the same time, there are reasons to look past that and protect this so that it doesn't become something worse. The other thing is that, you know, we want to get an appraisal to get, you know, a realistic idea of the number here so that we could see, do we want to spend money here or do we want to save it for potentially a better property? Say if Bartlett Street were to become a potential conservation purchase, do we want to save money there? But at this stage, we just want, you know, we want to get that due diligence done, see what the value is here, and so that we have the option to make an offer if we decide to do that.
What's on the market for, Ashley? Is it like 1.2 or something, or?
Oh, it's in that ballpark. Yeah, around $1 million.
1.7.
1.7. Oh, much higher.
And it's like 30 plus acres, right?
It's sizable. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do all my homework before I came. I guess.
I have it
Okay.
up.
We've walked
It's 24.
I've walked the property multiple times.
There you go.
With
24.
with Mr. Anza, without him, and it's an interesting piece of property. So.
Yeah, I haven't been out there, but Mia said that she'd walked it and gave us kind of a description of the property.
I don't believe we have access, Mia, right? We can't go on the property, right?
We just have to request it.
Right.
Yes.
We do an enforcement order outstanding too with him for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And again, we're looking for a couple $1,000 or a few $1,000s just for the appraisal at this point in time, actually, right?
Right. I think Mia had up to 5,000. The quotes that we got were, I think the one that will go with the lower quote was under $4,000.
Okay. Any questions from the commission or concerns or comments?
I'll just say I support it. I think it's a good idea just to get some more information. It doesn't commit us anything to specifically at this point, just
right
information.
Okay.
Could I ask something?
Sure.
If the town does decide to buy, what is its proposed use or uses?
Mm-hmm. The idea is that we would probably put in a trail loop there and have it on our trail map so that people are walking the aqueduct. They could go over there and might be another loop. Another thought is that, you know, this idea of having a dog park in town, this could be another location for that, in addition to providing a buffer to the wetland resources. So it's big enough that it could provide a couple of different uses.
That help, Diane?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know,
okay.
One of the things that's kind of missing over there because of Mr. Anzo on one side and all of us in the development on the other, and on the other buildings, there is not a lot of room left over for the wild ones. Usually there's quite a few deer in there. I would imagine the fox and smaller animals like that, and then the birds, because he cut down all the trees and everything. So if you were going to do something with it, I think that should be taken into consideration.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That would be a great project. That would be a great restoration project property. Perhaps there would be some funding we could get to do a little bit of restoration. Yeah, I like that idea.
And in the back, it connects that DCR property. In the back is the Barefoot Brook Flood Control Facility. And I've gone behind the industrial at Forbes Road, and they have they keep bees back there. It's like a little Shangri-La. It's very wild, very overgrown. It's a nice area.
Right, and not too far up, connects to Assabet, the Assabet River. So, and it's right where, you know, right just a little bit upstream is where Assabet, Northbrook, they all come together with this Barefoot Brook. So it's a pretty cool area.
I have a question, Ashley. What was the last sale price on that property?
I can pull up the property record card.
Yeah, I didn't even look.
Let me grab that.
I think the asking price is a little inflated.
Yeah, 2009, it sold for $250,000.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, obviously we won't offer more than appraised value. And so if it comes out, and we did discuss, you know, we don't have to offer appraised value. We can offer lower. It doesn't mean he has to accept it. You know, but so we have to decide, you know, what we think it's worth to the town, and he can decide what he wants to take. So.
Yeah, there was a while ago, there was a buyer involved in that, right? That didn't go anywhere apparently.
They're actually proceeding with that. There is an interested buyer. I spoke because we had to, before we move forward, we had to check with town council to make sure that it wasn't a conflict to get this appraisal. And he said that there's no litigation with this property. So it would be okay to move forward with the appraisal as long as we had permission from the landowner. And so we reached out to the landowner who connected us with his lawyer, Mr. Goodbow, and he has written back. He's given us written permission to do the appraisal. And he called me this week to say that they've drafted a purchase and sale. You know, I don't know if that's moving forward. It's obviously that purchase and sale, because I was trying to help him with the 61, because the town is right of first refusal with the land is currently in 61A, and the town technically is right of first refusal. And so, you know, two issues. He and I were trying to get permission for the site, and we were trying to talk about that. And I directed him to the assessor for more information on that. But in the end, the purchase and sale is not a straightforward purchase and sale. If it were a straightforward purchase and sale, we could use that value as the appraised value. But the purchase and sale doesn't. It has a lot of contingencies, such as town's right of first refusal, conversion from Chapter 61A, and permit pending. That makes it very complicated and will not be used in the appraised value.
So that was going to be my question. I know that it was part of the farm, and I wanted to verify it is in 61A currently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Mia,
go ahead, Ashley.
If he has a purchase and sale, you're saying on both parcels?
I don't know about the other one, but this one, they're moving forward. The lawyer's drafting it. And we don't know if the buyer is going, like, they're just drafting it, they're sending it to the buyer. So that process is ongoing, which is normal in conservation issues. Sometimes, you know, they move in the parallel.
Yeah. But we will require them to submit a purchase and sale that's not got contingencies in it, correct?
Oh, for ours, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If a purchase and sale with us. Definitely.
No, but even for this, for Chapter 61A purposes, they have to submit a bona fide offer that's not got contingencies in it.
I guess the assessor said that if it had a lot of contingencies, it would have to be reviewed by a lawyer to assess the value of those contingencies.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have to get down to what the real value is. That purchase and sale value won't be used. And our appraisal might be used in that process, in the right of first refusal. I'm not, that's not my department, luckily. It's a different department in town hall.
Okay.
Let's get so I have an opinion on this. Until we get a notification of the sale on the 61A, then maybe we shouldn't expend the money for the valuation. If it doesn't ever come to fruition on a purchase and sales, then why should we spend the money on an appraisal now?
Well, I tend to agree with you, Tom. I didn't realize that this was in process. I don't think we knew that at our last meeting. I would say that if you were going to approve us getting funding to get an appraisal today, I would make it contingent on the right of first refusal. You know, if it comes to that and we have the right of first refusal, then we have to pay what the value is. So there's no need for us to get an appraisal.
Correct.
They have to figure that out.
Correct.
Right.
So if the purchase and sale gets signed and it's for $1 million even, the town will still have first right at $1 million.
Correct.
Exactly. And even if we had an appraisal, it wouldn't matter, right? So, yeah.
I think there have been other interested parties. People have contacted me over the past 2 years, requesting meeting on the site, requesting plans, saying they had interested by realtors, lawyers. I don't know what happened with those offers. So, offers it's been on the market for a while. There have been other offers. It's possible this one might come to fruition or might not.
So maybe we just wait, we get approval tonight, but not to not move forward until after we see the result of this potential purchase. I mean,
it's been going on for like a year.
Oh,
I can
okay.
let me look in my emails to see. Maybe I can find, because I think it's still the same interested party.
Okay.
I don't know if I have it. It might have been a phone call.
Hmm.
Let me try 432 Whitney.
Oh, great.
I think that was by phone. Someone was calling me and trying to schedule me to come out, and they wanted to walk the wetland resource areas. Yeah, I don't have
Going
a
on
date
for
on
a
it.
year, Mia, though, right? This P&S process has been dragging slowly.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was the same applicant. I think it is the same applicant. When I spoke with the lawyer, he's like, that we have someone who's interested. And I was like, I didn't really know that you had someone interested. I know people have called and they request the plan because we have that wetland delineation plan from, I want to say 2012 or 2000. Here she is. November 2020. So it looks like in November, the most recent request for the plan for an interested party from a realtor was November 2020.
Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean they're in negotiations. That's
Could have
just
been a previous interested party.
Well, does it make sense to, and I guess this is the question for the commission. Does it make sense to have that appraisal in the pocket while this negotiation is going on, so that if the negotiation falls through, that an offer can be made from our perspective or not? I'm looking for some input here.
My thought is maybe hold the cards to the vest for right now and see what happens. The longer it's on the market, the more opportunity would be to, get it down to more of what the realistic value of it is.
Yeah, I think one caveat that not caveat, warning, Mia provided last time was, there was a property across the street or next door, I can't recall, that, everybody kind of said the same thing. And now it's an industrial building, which of course that's what it's zoned for there. But it's just to say these properties that look like there's no interest or that nothing will go forward, somebody will find a way. So if we really are interested, maybe we act sooner. But
that was 429. That was
okay.
the site in litigation. We have files here of
Oh,
developments. There was a residential development, there was an industrial development, it was light industrial, like empty trailer storage. They were defeated, they were denied, and then the owner eventually sold, and the person who bought it, did not recognize the rules and regulations for the site.
Mm.
We know the history from there on.
Yeah.
I mean, we're right there. We're already there across the street at 432.
Yeah, right.
That was we were actually talking about Bartlett Street. And I said, it feels good. It feels good to people to fight developers and landowners, but you want to have a cooperative relationship and make sure that you're honoring their rights so that they don't just sell in exasperation to someone who doesn't follow rules and regulations. So, but we already are here. That 432 Whitney Street already has been altered and has an enforcement order.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We could also table it for a month or two, Ash. That's an option also. Revisit it in July or something. See if
Yeah,
things
and
have moved.
if there hasn't been any movement, then we move forward then.
Like that.
So are you waiting? You're waiting to see if the purchase and sale moves forward.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
I think so, Mia, because didn't you mention that he just reached out, right? On that?
Yeah, about the same time that the Open Space Committee did an inventory of, they keep an inventory of property that they might be interested in. And we went through each single one, and this one was on the list and it is on the market. And so they just discussed, what the next step would be. If something from their inventory is on the market, they investigate whether or not they would do an appraisal. So.
And what was the exact number of the lower quote from the appraisers?
3,950.
Okay. So that's the real number we're talking.
Any other comments? I mean, Dan, you're on open space. What do you think?
I think it's small money. If it were me, I would just go ahead and get an appraisal, see what it's worth. But that's my opinion.
And Mia, what are some of the properties that looks like it's pretty wet even behind it? It's almost like some landlocked properties back there, parcels that don't have, frontage or anything too. Are those
DCR?
Those are all DCR?
Yep.
Yeah. All this is Barefoot Brook water control, flood control. There's a dam right over the line in Marlboro.
It could be an interesting, connector to that.
I know. So it's good connectivity, I guess, to those parcels too. I was making sure it wasn't just kind of a standalone site too, where maybe somebody else owned everything around it. But if it's DCR, that might give some opportunities there too.
And this is the aqueduct. There's the aqueduct here, and then the railroad is here. So to get that connection, we can never connect people over the railroad, but you go and you go up a steep slope. There's a little gate right here, a little opening in a gate, and then you go and you can get into the property.
I guess maybe my thought, or maybe we should reconsider if we're willing to get an appraisal on it. Are we willing to go forward and make an offer at what it's appraised at?
I mean, obviously we would come back to you for that, but I see you're asking, why spend the money unless we're serious that we'd actually move forward if it was a reasonable price? Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, regardless of what he has it listed at and, the number of realtors that have called on it, I mean, it's the same thing. It's who's putting the cash forward that makes the wheels move, I think it's overpriced for the, maybe 10 acres that's usable out of all of it. But, we can only offer what it appraises at.
I was kind of thinking something similar too, Tom, that, a lot of people probably look at the listing and they see, okay, yeah, 23 acres of industrial zone land, I'm going to go for this, or, and then once they start doing their due diligence and find out that, there might be a stream or river with a buffer zone, there's a lot of wetlands on it, there's a lot of topography on it. Once they kind of start laying out an industrial development on the site, I'm sure they learn pretty quickly that they're not going to get the desired square footage that they're probably looking for out here. So people are probably kicking the tires on it a lot just based on the size and the zoning of it. But then once they get into it a little more, kind of learning that it's probably not quite worth what they had thought originally.
And I think it's a great idea to purchase it as a buffer. But again, I think the purchase price is overinflated.
But it could be that, we come up with an appraisal that's a very reasonable number and it's straightforward and he accepts it. Who knows?
Has there been any direct discussion with Mr. Anza in regards to the town making him an offer?
Not from us. Mia, did we send him a letter? I can't recall. I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
No,
I can look.
I don't think so.
We just sent a bunch of letters. I may have sent one to him. Let me see.
Can you get me back from screen sharing? Please, thank you. Okay. I mean, it is, to Dan's point, it is fairly small money. We're talking $4,000 or $5,000 here, right? To get an estimate, get an appraisal. And Tom's point also is valid. If the appraisal comes back at $600,000, I mean, are we going to go ahead? Ashley, you got to go ahead and pull the trigger on that, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't, as much as it feels like, oh, this is just like a throwaway piece, there aren't properties of this size left in Northborough in too many places. And and the fact that there are, ways to connect up with other trails, it can provide a buffer, it can provide a buffer to the water resources and the residences. I mean, when you look at it at first glance, you're like, this isn't very exciting. But then when you start to really peel back the layers, it's pretty cool. I mean, so there's nothing right now that's available for us to purchase. It's not like we're saving money for something that we think is going to come up any minute. There's nothing on the horizon that we know of. So,
So can we do this? Can we just make an inquiry to the owner and find out if he would entertain an offer before we go and do the appraisal?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I think that's smart.
Well, he knows we're he knows we're doing it. The permission we requested is to conduct an appraisal with the intent to consider making an offer, because the original permission they gave us kind of said an appraisal with the express intent that they will make an offer. And Kathy and I reviewed it and we said, no, let's change that wording, that we're doing the appraisal with the intent that we would consider making an offer. So they know our intent, they know why we're moving forward. The permission is expressly there, that the reason we're doing this appraisal is to make an offer.
Did they give any reaction to that at all?
No, I'm only dealing with the lawyer.
Oh.
It's tricky because we're in litigation, so we have his contact number, but we don't, because we're in litigation, when was that, Greg? We were out there like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Someone was, we had to let the town administrator's office and town council know that we had to reach out to him. And then we reached out with him directly and walked the site with him because of the litigation across the street.
Right. Not on this piece of property, but the one at 429?
Yep, litigation at 429. So it's not the typical homeowner that we could just call up.
Well, I mean, I think I'm on the school now. We should move ahead. Let's get an estimate done, an appraisal done, keep in the pocket and hopefully make a, if it comes in reasonable, I'm not sure what that range is, but comes in reasonable, maybe move ahead with it. It is a unique piece of property. So, that's my personal opinion. Any more comments?
No, but I think I'm with you, Greg. I think, get it done. It's not that expensive, see what it comes in at. And then, from there, I guess, make a decision, at that point. Who knows if he would entertain the offer or not. But I guess we wouldn't know, I guess, until we take this step anyways.
We could make it a not to exceed situation, right? With not to exceed, I don't know, 6,000 or some number set, whatever is reasonable.
Yeah. And the Open Space Committee had the exact same conversation that you're having, but even longer and more in depth. So their recommendation, this is not a slam dunk. They're not saying, yes, let's go for it. Let's do it. They're saying, the recommendation was, let's do the appraisal to get more information and then consider it. They understand the weight of it, that this would require a lot of consideration.
All right, so let's vote
Can I
it
make a
here.
motion that we approve the appraisal?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ken. Was that again, Kelly?
Can I make a motion that we approve the appraisal?
You can.
Do you have a not to exceed
Request for
amount?
the appraisal?
Not to exceed amount?
I think
Not to
5,000 would
exceed
cover it. What do you
6,000?
think, Ashley?
Yeah, 5,000. I mean, it shouldn't go over 4, but yeah.
Okay, so not to exceed 5, Kelly, is the number. So you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve giving them the money for the appraisal not to exceed 5,000.
And to spend the money from the conservation fund. That was
Yes.
Correct. Is there a second to that?
I second.
Seconded by Dan. Roll call vote. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
This is
good luck.
this tricky one. We'll be back about this.
And don't walk the property.
I know, I will. I should get out there. All right, see ya.
Very good. Thanks, Ashley.
Good night.
1.7, huh? My God.
Hmm.
Holy moly. Yeah. All right. Informal discussions. We have a proposed boardwalk footbridge on Howard Street. And that's a Mr. Dufek, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I don't see him.
I don't either.
Okay. We want to, it's informal. Do we want to move on from that, Mia, or do you know enough about it to, okay, move on?
No, I don't. I don't know much about it.
Moving on. Increase setback requirements for slopes greater than 3 to 1. You provided some information to us that says that we have the authority now to be flexible if there are certain circumstances in place.
That's right. It's already in. I can pull up that section if you'd like in the bylaw. I had it up. Sorry, let me just pull it open again. Okay. So you'd asked me to draft some wording about increased setbacks when the slopes are greater than 3 to 1. And that's here. It's already in section 4.2.3, general performance standards, where you have your 35 and your 25. You also say at the end, for projects involving steep slopes, erodible soils, and extensive disturbed areas, or hydrologic conditions likely to promote significant erosion, the commission may require a wider undisturbed buffer to ensure protection of wetland resource areas. So my question to you is, if you feel that this is sufficient, I think it is. I think you can exercise this if you'd like. I feel like the wording is strong enough here. But if you'd like something more, we can look at adding more to it.
I think that's why we put that in there when we, went back and revised all of these, was so that if somebody does come in and proposes a 1-to-1 slope, we can, push them back or say no. I'm good with it as it was written, but.
I think the language is fine. It gives us the ability to be more strict if we want.
Other comments? Anybody think that's not appropriate or not sufficient? Mia, what section is this in? Can you back up just one second?
Sure.
The previous page?
4.2.3 of the regulations.
Okay.
General
My only comment
performance
would be
standards.
from a formatting perspective, maybe break it out to a separate paragraph or something.
We could do that.
Just because it gives it a little more visibility that way.
We can make it section 4.2.4 and say for projects involving steeper slope. And then
That
maybe
might be good, so it's not buried in there. It
Yeah.
just kind of highlights it a little bit, because I think having the flexibility is good. I mean, if we had say it was a blast rock slope or something like that, that would be very stable anyways, I don't think we would have that too often, but you may say that's okay because it's a pretty stable slope, versus something else. So this just gives us a little bit of flexibility, I think, which is okay.
Are you still, you're not seeing a Word doc, right?
Nothing.
I'm going to share
Here
the
we go.
Word doc.
Okay.
Okay. So it would look like here, and that should be 4.2.4. And then I think we should make this is the presumption of alteration from pesticides and fertilizers. So that's kind of separate. So I figured we can make that 4.2.5. Does that look right? This is the change.
4 is the flexibility based on slope, and 5 is the pesticides.
Yep. Furthermore, the presumption of wetland resource alteration from fertilizers and pesticides may be overcome by providing qualified technical data. Just because it's separate from the slope issue. And what you'll see is I'll cite this in my staff comment email. I won't say, go ahead and pull those back. I'll say the commission, due to the highly erodible soils and extensive dirt or this 1-to-1 slope in this area, staff recommends that the commission exercise section 4.2.4 and require a wider undisturbed buffer. And, because usually I send them my comments, they make some edits before the meeting, and then they bring you revised plans to the meeting so that there's less to cover at the meeting. And that's just if they don't meet any of the regulations. This is more of a subjective, you have the discretion. So my comment will just say the commission will likely require a wider undisturbed area.
Kelly, don't you have something like this in Westboro or already in existence?
Yes,
Good. Have you ever had any court challenges to it?
not that I know of, no, but our regulations are we have a lot of say, so no.
I think bullet pointing them and, giving them specifics works.
Okay. So if this is the change you'd like to make, which is just bulleting them, I think it should still be voted.
Okay.
Oh, we should probably advertise it right on the agenda as a change to the regulations and vote it then.
For June.
Yeah.
The next
Okay.
meeting.
Agreed. June vote. Okay. All right. We move on, Mia, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The Central Mass Mosquito Control Project.
That was Todd. And
That
he's
brings up
not
and he
here.
skips the meeting, huh? Okay.
Yeah. He had requested that I put that on the agenda. He had some questions about their projects. I don't even know what his questions are.
Okay, so we not want to try and read Todd's mind. We'll just move that to June.
Yeah.
The special conditions spreadsheet review, you sent out that to us. It's voluminous. You're not looking for action. That's just for our own edification.
That's right. I mailed it out last month, emailed it to you guys. If you have any questions about anything on there, otherwise you can use it as a tool when we write our special conditions. Those are the conditions. Those are the boilerplates I use to pull from. So you'll see there was one that says like replication and restoration. I just took that boilerplate and modified it to be specific to 90 West Main Street. So they were replicating BLSF. So, calling it a, replication area obviously isn't pertinent. I could just change a couple words.
That is it on the agenda, I believe. I've got one to add here, Mia.
Okay.
The stormwater bylaw.
Oh.
Now that was approved at town meeting, correct?
It was.
So should we expect something at some point in time to start voting on or taking responsibility for?
So it has to get approved by the Attorney General. And it wouldn't go into effect till July 1st at the earliest.
Okay.
But we have to, wait for Attorney General review. That's supposed to take 90 days. When I did it in Paxton, it took like, I don't know, I want to say 6 months. And then if the Attorney General comes back with any changes, there is a statement at the end of the bylaw that says that we can enact the bylaw without, like, if not all portions get approved, we can enact the portions that do get approved and then go back to town meeting again next year with any changes the Attorney General recommends.
Whose point on that for the town? Is that you or Fred or?
It's Fred, but it will transition to me.
Okay. So I guess we just wait. We just sit and wait to see where we are on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
And we forgot to do one. It's a duplicate certificate of compliance for Route 20 Tomeland Road and Davis Ave. Map parcels 982, 10, 1071, 1083, 10915, 106.5, 6, and 7. DP file number 247-884. This is for Shops Way. There were, I think, 3 certificates of compliance issued for Shops Way. None of them were ever recorded. 2 of them, I still have the originals in the file, and I don't know if they're going through financing or changing management company. They want to get them recorded, and we don't have an original for this one.
Who's administrative?
Yes.
You just
Already
sold it.
voted.
I think I read that they just sold it.
Oh, so that must be it.
Way?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
I think I read, yeah, something big, 150 million or something like that. I thought I saw it somewhere. It's sold.
Okay. So if there's any questions or comments by the commission, we'll start with that. I believe we have 1 attendee left. If they have any questions, any public questions on that?
No, I think, wasn't that all for the sewer main?
I don't think this was the sewer main. I think, oh, no, this was a sewer main. You're right.
Yeah, that's the sewer main that went all the way down, the
Yep.
force main.
You're right.
Okay.
So it was issued, voted and issued, but we just don't have an original. We probably mailed them the original and never saw it again.
So let's get a motion then.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for a certificate of compliance for Shops Way, the multiple street name.
It's 247-884.
Awesome, thank you.
Second.
By Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And
All right.
is everyone aware that the proposed change to the bylaw to allow certificates of mail did not pass at town meeting?
Yes.
People have
Surprising.
spoken.
Surprising, given, I mean, it was not seismic activity we're looking for, but it is what it is.
Yep.
The public has spoken. We'll move on that one.
And I also want to thank Kelly for getting up there and speaking.
Kelly, you did a nice job avoiding the pitchforks and burning hay that was being thrown at you. So that was good.
They were lines. There were
Those
lines at the
trucks.
microphone.
He did. I was like, oh no. There was no lines for other questions. I was worried.
Okay, Mia, anything else you have for us? I mean, next month we're looking at
June
0 Hudson
14th.
Street
Oh,
and
yeah.
161 Church already being bumped over.
Mhm.
Anything else you know of coming in?
I mean, we might get something for Lincoln Street. They did go to design review with a preliminary design, so they may be ready. We might be getting it in. They
Okay,
didn't give me a timeline on it.
all right. Okay.
Oh, hey, quick question. Did anything ever come with the boardwalk thing around the pond at the senior center?
Oh, there was the, yes,
The accessible loop,
the tarred piece, yes.
the TARD.
Well, they want to put a trail around the senior center, right?
Oh, yeah, so we did have a volunteer group come in from Verity Opportunities. They wanted to do an Earth Day cleanup. They met with the Trails Committee. and they raked in the first loop. It goes around the outside of the parking lot up to the pond and then connects to the Goldfinch Trail. But they did a nice job because there was a lot of boulders, like half-buried boulders. So they were like taking those out with crowbars and shovels and smoothing it. And we've already gotten our first request from the senior center director. I just connected her with Forrest Lyford. He leads a lot of hikes. He's a Trails Committee member. He's also a member of the Historical Committee or Commission, Northborough Historical Society. He's a member there. So he has a lot of knowledge. He's also a retired geologist. So he is connected with the senior center. You'll see it in their bulletin that he's gonna lead a hike. And it's not fully accessible. It's like a more accessible than usual trail. We tried to smooth it and rake it in. So the first.
You weren't referring to the ADA compliant trail, were you?
Yeah, it's not ADA compliant. We're calling it like an accessible trail. It's not, but it's not ADA compliant yet. Is that the issue?
Yeah, were they not able to get that grant then? Mia?
No, they didn't get the grant.
Okay, that was
They
what I
didn't-
was curious.
Yeah, the Mass DOT grant.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try again next year if they still have the shared winter streets, and we can also try for a trails grant. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have anything? Any
Yep.
violations in your watch areas? Keeping your eyes open for that. It is the season, right? It is the season.
All right, I gotta ask, what's the trail camera update?
Oh, two updates. No, so you heard about the vandal, right?
No.
No, oh, I haven't told you guys yet. So the trail cameras went up, and then I estimated they'd last about 2 weeks for batteries and disk size. And so just like 13 days in, I was about to go and grab the cameras. We got a call from the Northborough Police that someone was vandalizing Pisgah and had moved down to the Green Street parking lot and was spray painting signs and cars. And so the trail camera we mounted at the Pisgah parking lot actually caught the suspect. He
Nice.
also hit a parked car and his license plate fell off on Green Street. So it's not like ours is the thing, but it definitely helped. And then the suspect was asked by the police to go back and clean up. The police asked me to assess the damage. When I went out to assess the damage on Monday, this happened Friday night. I went out Monday morning, it had already been cleaned. So he went out and fixed it. And then I reviewed all the trail cam footage, and there is just not a single, not only is there's no suspicious activity, there's no wildlife. There was a single blue jay. Nothing interesting is happening up there.
Yes, because of all the human activity.
That's true. And then the Trails Committee would like to improve Watson Park. And that's an area owned by the water department, but you guys manage it and it has wetlands. Sorry, I got a tickle. So we made a plan to do all sorts of just clean up. We're going to try to get the trash out of there. It's going on our Eagle Scout list to maybe put a bench and to replace some of the broken boards on the picnic tables. And the Trails Committee asked me to put trail cameras in. And so I still have 3 in the office. I know, I'm not looking forward to that. I had to order new SD cards. It's like I mentally blocked them from arriving because I got a notice they arrived, but they're not here. So I have to kind of track them. And so I'm getting like a couple weeks reprieve as WB Mason tracks down my SD cards, because I need double SD cards, because once I mount the camera, I just trade out the SD card. I don't.
Hey, Mia, before you put the cameras in Watson Park, you may want to talk to Chief Liver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's some history there.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping just the sign, there's a sign that will say this area is under surveillance. And then I'm just going to point the camera at the parking lot. I'm not going to be like embedding them in the woods.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Well, maybe it'll be a deterrent, but
That's what
the sign could do it itself,
Yeah.
That could.
yeah.
And we're looking at trying to get it repaved. The Trails Committee may come to you. Right now, I'm investigating, it's a state boat ramp. So I reached out to the Fish and Wildlife Public Boat Access Office. We do have an agreement with them, but I don't have a copy of the agreement. So they're trying to figure out who's responsible, because it goes down and there's a loop. That loop is paved so that you can bring a boat down there. And right now it's completely inaccessible. They couldn't plow it this winter. The pavement is completely deteriorated. So trying to check with the boating office, DPW estimated it would be about $25,000 to repave it, and they do not have that in their paving budget this year. Seeing if the boat access people might have it at the state. If they don't, we may be coming to you for a CPC project to repave.
Okay.
So if you see some improvements, and we're also working with, hopefully with the garden club or some Girl Scouts to restore and or expand the butterfly area up by the street.
They've done that before.
Yep. And the goal, I found a news article from when it was put in the 90s, is the goal was always to try to expand. You know, that this was just a starting point.
Anybody else have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
June 14 is the next meeting. Anybody have any known conflicts at this point in time? Things do change and come up, but
Not that I'm aware of. But
okay, fair enough. That's how we all are at this point, probably, Tom. So, tomorrow is voting day. Don't forget to vote. So, all right. Then if there's, without further ado, is there a motion?
we need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Everybody, seconded by everybody. Seconded by Diane on that one. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Tom Beal,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Very good.